Ever heard the one about George Washington and the cherry tree? Or that time Einstein failed math? History's full of legendary tales that sound too good to be true, probably because they are. Get ready to separate fact from fiction with a wink and a laugh as we dive into some of history's greatest hoops that never happened moments. The Betsy Ross flag, sewing a story of American patriotism. Betsy Ross is often credited with creating the first American flag with 13 stars and stripes, symbolizing the original colonies. As the story goes, George Washington personally requested her to sew the flag, marking the start of an iconic symbol for the new nation. However, there's no historical documentation supporting this claim. The story only surfaced nearly a century later when her grandson presented it in the 1870s as the United States approached its centennial. While it's true that Ross was a skilled seamstress who sewed flags for the military, the design itself likely originated from the Continental Congress rather than from Betsy Ross's sewing table. Despite the lack of evidence, the tale has become a beloved part of American folklore, embodying the spirit of patriotism and unity. Einstein's jelly donut gaffe, a linguistic legend in Berlin. In 1963, President John F. Kennedy delivered a speech in West Berlin, famously declaring, "Ich bin ein Berliner," to express solidarity with the city's residents. According to a popular myth, due to his use of "ihm" before Berliner, Kennedy inadvertently referred to himself as a jelly donut, as Berliner can refer to a pastry in certain regions of Germany. However, the phrase Kennedy used was linguistically accurate, with Berliners understanding his intent perfectly. German-speaking audiences had no confusion over his statement, and footage reveals that Kennedy's remark was met with enthusiastic applause rather than laughter. The myth of his gaffe likely arose from cultural misunderstandings. Kennedy's words became an iconic Cold War statement of American support, but the jelly donut story, though false, endures as a humorous anecdote about language and diplomacy. Benjamin Franklin and the kite experiment. The shocking myth of lightning. One of the most famous stories of American ingenuity involves Benjamin Franklin's kite experiment, where he supposedly flew a kite with a metal key during a thunderstorm to demonstrate that lightning was a form of electricity. However, many historians doubt that Franklin performed this dangerous experiment himself. Instead, Franklin described the theory of such an experiment in a letter, hoping others would attempt it to verify the connection between lightning and electricity. Later, an author embellished the story to include dramatic details like the kite being struck directly by lightning. While Franklin's work did advance our understanding of electricity, this tale likely highlights his contributions more symbolically. Franklin's true experiments with lightning rods and electrical theory are achievements in their own right, but the kite story has endured as a legendary, if exaggerated, example of scientific discovery. William Tell and the apple, the Swiss symbol of freedom. Swiss folk hero William Tell is remembered for his daring act of shooting an apple off his son's head with a crossbow as punishment for defying a tyrannical ruler. The tale, which portrays Tell as a symbol of Swiss independence, remains deeply rooted in Swiss culture. However, there's no solid historical evidence that William Tell existed at all, as the first account of his tale appears more than a century after it supposedly took place. Additionally, a similar story about a Danish archer predates Tell's tale, suggesting it may have been borrowed from other folklore. The story of William Tell might have been adapted to inspire resistance against foreign rule, embodying ideals of bravery, loyalty, and justice. Although possibly fictional, the legend of William Tell continues to represent Swiss ideals of liberty and self-determination. Columbus proved the earth was round, a tale of exploration and misunderstanding. The popular myth that Christopher Columbus set out to prove the earth's roundness has been retold for centuries. Educated Europeans had accepted the Earth's round shape since ancient Greek times, with scholars like Pythagoras and Eratosthenes even calculating its circumference. Columbus's real challenge lay in convincing others that sailing west to reach Asia was feasible. Many experts believed Columbus had misjudged the Earth's size, underestimating the vast distances across the Atlantic. When he reached the Americas, instead, Columbus had stumbled upon a new world rather than proving a long-settled fact. The myth of Columbus proving the Earth's roundness arose in later retellings, likely to add drama to his journey. Today, this tale serves as a reminder of humanity's spirit of discovery, even if the motivation behind Columbus's voyage was far more complex. Lady Godiva's legendary ride, a naked protest for the people. Lady Godiva, a noblewoman from 11th century England, is said to have ridden through the streets of Coventry unclothed to protest her husband Leofric's heavy taxes on the townspeople. Out of respect, the citizens allegedly stayed indoors, except for Peeping Tom, who later became a symbol for intrusive onlookers. However, historical records from Godiva's time make no mention of this event, and the first recorded account of the story appears more than 2 centuries later. The legend may have been an allegorical tale meant to depict Godiva as compassionate and brave. This tale became widely known during the Victorian era and was even celebrated in art and literature. Although its authenticity is doubtful, Lady Godiva's ride has endured as a symbol of courage, selflessness, and advocacy for the poor. The Bermuda Triangle Mystery, the supernatural sea that never was. The Bermuda Triangle, defined by Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Florida, has long been associated with the mysterious disappearances of planes and ships. Numerous books and articles in the mid-20th century popularized tales of paranormal activities and lost vessels, suggesting that the area was cursed or governed by strange magnetic forces. However, research reveals that the Bermuda Triangle does not have a higher accident rate than any other heavily trafficked maritime area. Many supposed disappearances were either exaggerated, fictionalized, or resulted from natural causes, human error, or mechanical issues. The myth of the Bermuda Triangle owes much of its fame to sensationalized media coverage rather than substantial evidence. The mystery endures in pop culture, but its reputation for supernatural dangers is largely unsupported by facts. The myth of Walt Disney's cryogenic freezing, a frozen vision of the future. After Walt Disney's death in 1966, rumors emerged that he had been cryogenically frozen, hoping to be revived in the future. Disney's fascination with futuristic ideas, especially the initial vision for Epcot, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, may have fueled this belief. However, Disney was cremated, and his ashes were interred at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in California. The myth seems to have started with a tabloid article, which claimed that Disney was preserved in a secret cryogenic chamber. Despite the lack of truth, this story has persisted, perhaps because it aligns with Disney's reputation as a visionary who pushed the boundaries of technology. Today, the tale reflects our collective fascination with the potential of cryogenics, blending science fiction with the legacy of a beloved cultural icon. Cleopatra's dissolving pearl, the Queen's expensive gamble. The story of Cleopatra dissolving a priceless pearl in vinegar and drinking it to impress her lover, Mark Antony, is one of the most famous tales of ancient Egypt. Roman historian Pliny the Elder documented the incident, claiming that Cleopatra made a wager with Antony that she could consume the wealth of a nation in a single meal. According to the story, she dropped one of her valuable pearls into a glass of vinegar, where it dissolved, allowing her to win the bet. While this legend has been widely told, scholars debate its authenticity. Although it's scientifically possible for a pearl to dissolve in vinegar, the process is slow. Nevertheless, Cleopatra's supposed act of dissolving the pearl embodies her intelligence, audacity, and resourcefulness. Even if fictional, it reflects the fascination surrounding her life and character. Marie Antoinette's "Let them eat cake," a symbol of royal indifference. Marie Antoinette, the last queen of France before the French Revolution, is famously remembered for supposedly saying, "Let them eat cake," upon hearing that the French people had no bread. This callous response is often cited to illustrate the disconnect between the aristocracy and the suffering of the people. However, there's no evidence that she ever said these words. Philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau first mentioned a similar phrase in his work, attributing it to an unnamed noblewoman years before Marie Antoinette's time. Historians believe the phrase was attributed to her much later to emphasize the cruelty of the monarchy. Although the story is almost certainly fictional, it has come to represent the unfeeling aristocracy's disregard for the common people, symbolizing the underlying tensions that led to the French Revolution. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history's greatest legends. If you enjoyed unraveling these myths, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more fascinating stories that blend fact with fiction. Who knows what other tales we'll uncover together?